Check, check, check.
Check, check.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode, 1019, The Watch Commander. And we are live, and we got a show for you this evening. And with me tonight, Mike Bornman is here.
What a surprise. Yeah.
Mike Bornman, of all the people, Mike Bornman. Yeah. Who knew you'd be here, Mike?
Not me.
And you were having some technical difficulties.
You know what? Multiple technical difficulties. That's why I like just driving a radio car and having a gun on my hip. This stuff, I've got 2 computers, 10 keyboards, a couple of sets of headphones, microphones, telephones, one stacked on top of the other, man. It was...
You can't figure any of them
out.
out.
My God. You know what? I need GJ here to help me before the show starts.
GJ.
Hi, GJ.
We're going to be saying hi to some folks in a second. Marlon Marrache is here. He's the IA guy, and he's still setting up a little bit. So we'll go ahead and chit chat while that's happening. And let's say hello to our friends. Passe is here. Passe was here, I think, about 2 hours ago because he checked in.
Yeah,
long time at 1846. He checked in, so he's like in his seat, got his popcorn.
Passe is not passe, man. He is there.
No. And Tracy Tribune. Good evening, hey, Mike and Ken.
Tracy.
And this is not for us. GJ's making friends out on the interwebs. Mm-hmm. Dale Hedges is here. And Dale, good to see you, man. Mike, I think you're breathing in your microphone.
Dude, I'm not even breathing.
You're breathing. Hey, let's see here. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Chris, I can hear you. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Loud and clear.
I'm trying to see if this mic here is working. I don't know.
I feel like it's working. It's not your usual studio quality, so I don't know if it's coming through that or the computer. But we can hear you fine. Mm-hmm. GJ says breaking news, and I'm sure Mike and Ken, or is it Ken and Mike, will discuss POTUS Trump's recent truth post.
Nice post, yeah.
I was not on there. And Mark Slater says this should be a good show. And no pressure earlier on from GJ. 2 minutes to go. Only Anxious One is here. And Tracy says hi. And GJ says, since I know that Ken is looking for a good GJ comment, here's one. I look forward to every Tuesday evening so I can pair my fine expensive red wine with 1019 The Watch Commander. Excellent pairing. May I add, thank you, GJ. And stop the presses. Zippy's here.
Zippy.
The one and only.
Long time no see, Zip.
Oh, my gosh. This comment... I forgot to mention I'm drinking a bottle of T-Bird. Takes me back to the early 1960s.
Oh, yeah, with a 40-ounce chaser, man.
Man, that's a lethal combination right there.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And Ghost 01 says, hello, guys. And look who's here, man. Look who's here. Helper is here. Welcome, classmate. Good to see you. That's probably for Marlon, because I know that Helper and I are not classmates.
798, baby.
798. David Elsass is here, man.
Long time no see, David.
David Elsassy. He's gonna bring the fire tonight. I feel like Dave, it will not disappoint tonight. Let's see here. Eric says, I agree, going to be a great show. Josh and Babe are here. And Problem Solver. Can we discuss the LASD department email from Luna? Well, I believe that's on the agenda. Is that not right, Mike?
I don't know. Yeah, you know what? I wanted to touch on that briefly, but anybody else out there want to say hi or what?
I think we're ready with the highs, but I want to introduce. Let's see here. Let me get this part up. I want to introduce that this is the 1019, the Watch Commander channel, and with us this evening is look who's here, the IA guy, Marlon Marrache. And Marlon, welcome to the show, brother.
Thanks, brother. Always a pleasure being Code 6 with you and Captain Mike.
You know, what's happening is the reason that Marlon's here. Also, I want to tell them about this is a crazy looking graphic you got. You kind of updated the YouTube channel.
I did. What we ended up doing, as you can see, this is one of my old step and repeat background that I did, and we started with internal affairs, and then I said, you know what, we got to have another channel called Capers, because everybody's got a good caper, whether it's a crazy pursuit, a crazy arrest, et cetera, et cetera. And then as time went by, in this whole year, in my rookie year as a podcaster on YouTube, we decided to graduate to the IA guy, and that's where we're at, man. So we made this logo. It's the IA guy, a police podcast, and we get to talk about IA stuff. And as you know, this Ken and Captain Mike, when something viral goes down, or something that's very, very newsworthy across the nation, we podcasters have to jump all over it. So here we are, man. Happy to be here.
And you guys, this is the actual channel. And if you just search on YouTube for the IA guy, you'll find his channel. I'm telling you, he's got guests that I want on my show. So you have a lot of good stuff on there.
Yeah, thank you. You know what? As an LAPD alum, just like you, Ken, I tend to reach out at as many LAPD alums that I have. And lucky me, that I left with a good reputation, at least I think I did, enough to get a lot of old school. It's so great, man. Meaning there's a lot of history behind LAPD that a lot of young officers and the audience doesn't really get to experience. Ken, you're next, man. I got to get you on. And of course, I got to ask you, when the verdict of the Rodney King trial went down that day, right? Come 4 p.m., where were you and what happened, right? And so you'd be surprised, man. A lot of kids don't even know that. They don't know about the Rampart scandal. A lot of people don't know that we had a consent decree in 2001. And so what we're learning from the IA Guy channel is that there's just a lot of history that people are really curious about. So
yeah,
I'm happy. I'm stoked to have. Right now, I got a whole LAPD wave going. So stand by. We got about, I want to say, another handful, about 5 LAPD guests, and I'm going to start pushing. I'm pushing 3 episodes a week, bro, because I'm like 30 in the queue.
Well, if you want to be on his show, get a hold of Marlon on his. I didn't get an email off of your YouTube channel. How can they get a hold of you to be on your show?
Yeah, so definitely send me an email at Marlon, MARLON, at BLU Consulting Inc. altogether.com. That's my email address. You can DM me on IA Guy Podcast on Instagram, and you can certainly get a hold of me on LinkedIn. My name, Marlon Marrache, MARLON, last name Marrache, MARRACHE.
Oh, cool. Can Mike be on your show?
Mike's always welcome. He's got, listen, everybody's got an IA story, and Mike has one. I know he does, or 2.
Brother, I worked IA for about 5.5 years.
So you definitely have a story. You got
but I can't tell them though.
There's secret stories.
We want to everybody says.
We want to get right into this next story. This is going to be something where I got a few slides on this, Marlon, and I want to talk about this. This one blew me away when we first got to it. First, we want to get to this part here. Today was Paul Jordan's funeral. For anybody that knew Paul Jordan, he was a legend at LAPD Hollywood, senior lead officer. His funeral was today. Car accident. That's all we know. But we want to pay tribute to him tonight and say fond farewell to Paul. Very, very beloved officer on LAPD.
Yeah. If I may, PJ and I worked together for several years at Dodger Stadium. I got to know PJ very, very well. In fact, my understanding is that he was close to less than a year away
Yeah.
from pulling the, and he was getting ready to enjoy his retirement. My thinking is, my understanding, I shouldn't say my thinking, but I was told that he just bought a beautiful home for his family to retire on in the whole nine. And a lot of people don't know that Paul actually went through a border rights early in his career, and he was able to survive. So he was going to be one of my guests to come in to talk about how he went through this whole process with IAD and ended up at a border rights and beat it. Paul is very energetic, charismatic. I miss Paul. And what I was also going to do, Ken, before we wrap up with Paul, is I'm in the process of trying to get a hold of the Hollywood division, his boss, so that we can do an episode at the IA Guy, a police podcast with stories, war stories of Paul, and make a whole episode and contribute to Paul Jordan. So that's my next move that I definitely want to do for Paul.
That would be great. This story that we have coming up here, this is a LAPD alleged racist, sexist remarks get 4 LAPD officers benched during investigation. This happened in the office at Recruitment Division. And it says a sergeant, a lieutenant, and 2 officers assigned to LAPD's Recruitment Employment Division Red have been assigned home with their police powers stripped, including took their gun and badges, pending an internal affairs investigation into alleged racist and sexist remarks. According to sources with knowledge of the incident who spoke to the Times, assigning police department employees to their homes without police powers during an investigation is reserved for the most egregious violations. One source who spoke anonymously to the outlet because they were not authorized to speak about details of the investigation described the alleged comments as shocking and crude. And this is the photo. They decide this. I don't know what kind of photo the mayor is. And the chief of police says, "I am deeply disappointed by that certain officers were recorded making racist and offensive comments regarding the department applicants. Such behavior is in direct opposition to the core values of this department." Blah blah blah. Chief McDonald. I have some more thoughts on this, but so basically what happened, you guys, is this, what the news is reporting is that they were in an office at personnel at the recruitment division, and somebody secretly recorded these officers. Then somehow it made its way, and I'm hearing it's anonymous. I don't know for sure. And the recordings made their way to IA. Marlon picked this up because I'm going to start going off on this.
Well, speaking from experience and knowing my beloved LAPD, what I will say is leaking it to the LA Times and having a quote from the mayor and the chief of police doesn't give the officers a fair shot at the whole process, and so whoever gave that advice to leak it and provide a comment, right, a soundbite, I don't know, man. You know what? This whole disciplinary process is based on, proven until you're guilty. But unfortunately, when you make comments like that, it kind of shows a lot of biases. It kind of shows the fact that, even though the chief of police is the ultimate decision maker, how am I supposed to get a fair shot when he's making these particular quotes even before we even start this whole disciplinary process? So that's where I see problem number one. What I do know a little bit about this incident is there is going to be a full analysis and examination as it relates to surreptitious recordings. And those surreptitious recordings, are they under the administrative code of Los Angeles, right? Los Angeles municipal administrative codes how does that apply with surreptitious recordings? And if you do show surreptitious recordings and give it and use it for disciplinary procedures, is that evidence admissible as you go through the process, all the way to adjudication? I don't know. That is something that needs to be really thought out. It needs to be completely examined. And I really hope that the officers get a shot at, having these discussions before, we crucify them publicly. That's just my opinion. I don't think it's right to be making these kind of comments, not knowing exactly what we're dealing with.
Yeah, I got one more. I got one more slide, and then I want to talk about this and have you and Mike hash this out, or as the IA guys. But I do want to bring up one more thing here. Chief McDonnell is just appalled at these horrific comments, and I just want to say that he came on the job in 81. I came on the job in 1980. Mike came on the job in the 1980s as well. And for somebody who was a cop in the 1980s to be appalled at any language just blows me away. And he's all upset about whatever language. And you'd think the way they were talking about this incident, I mean, what could they possibly be saying that just melts the chief's skin and the mayor's skin off of their faces because it was so egregious that he has not heard about this exact same stuff in the 1980s in police cars and police stations. Also, now that I've said that, I just want to get your guys' take on this. California is a two-party state. You can't record people without their knowledge when there's an expectation of privacy. So, Mike?
Well, yeah, you're right. I think what the city's going to hang their hat on is the fact that it's administrative, not criminal. But it's as far as I'm concerned, your chief, he's not my chief, your chief, is posturing politically. And, it's just like the same complaint I've had about the sheriff across the roadway there. Until all the investigation is in, just keep your frickin' trap shut. Do not prejudge a case. And I mean, what's going to happen if he finds out it's all BS ultimately? Oh, I'm sorry. Here's your stuff back. Act like nothing happened. He's been on long enough to know that things change. Something that you think is just horrific and oh my God, it's beyond the pale. You find out that it's not. And that's why I learned early on, keep your mouth shut, get all the facts in before you make a decision or pop off in public like that. And I think he's doing it to satisfy his political master.
I'm going to echo that and add the fact that there is cases, and you know this, Mike, where you get a face sheet of an internal affairs investigation, and by the time you're done investigating, turn it in, ready for adjudication, it's a completely whole different story. And so with that being said, I just don't know that the best advice that the chief was given was by the experts in internal affairs of my beloved LAPD, right? So I don't know what that advice was. I would have said something along the lines like, look, why don't we just hold off, not make public comments and maybe not even cut a face sheet because it is a consent, right? Two-party state, you need consent. These are surreptitious recordings. And can we use this and admit it as we move forward with the process of this internal affairs investigation? I don't know. I just, what I will say is this. I had a border rights where the department, right? I was the advocate. I was represented the chief of police. Basically, I was just prosecuting this accused employee, sworn that is. And the department's main star witness during the hearing mails me a CD audio of surreptitious recordings with the accused. I mean, and these recordings, blatant lies. Things like, hey, today we call the IA, and this is what we're going to say to them. Okay, look, you know what? I call them, and you're good to go when you do your interview. And guess what? Luckily, I had a lieutenant who used to be an attorney, and we really flushed all this out, looked at the administrative codes for the city of Los Angeles, got advice from the city attorney, and guess what, man? We couldn't admit them during the board. It's like I wanted them, right? I wanted to admit these so that they can have them, but we didn't do it. So that was the circumstances in that particular incident, right? In that particular matter. Of course, things change in different settings, right? Do you remember? I don't know if you remember this, Ken, but Frank Liga, right? We
Yeah.
talked about this.
Yeah.
Frank Liga was an instructor, and he was given a block of presentation to instruct in front of a whole bunch of police officers at Elysian Park Academy, and he started making some very, very derogatory comments towards a command staff captain, and someone was recording him. And that audio recording got turned into IA. Next thing you know, he's facing a border rights and he gets terminated at a border rights hearing. So again, not only do we have to analyze and examine the surreptitious recording as it relates to administrative law in the city of Los Angeles, but you also have to do a full analysis and examination on the settings. Is there an expectation of privacy, or is this a public, forum? My point is that there's a lot of discussions that you have to have before you start making comments to the LA Times. That's just me.
Yeah, my guess is this was a cloistered office setting, which, gives you the opportunity to have the expectation of privacy.
Yeah.
Popping off in front of a crowd about some captain is probably not going to be the best venue to do something like that. But I'm curious to see how this thing shakes out, because me, I would err on the side of the fact that it's protected. It's a two-party state. One party is trying to get other people in trouble for whatever their reasoning is. But, like I say, I think where they're going to hang their hat is the fact that it's not a criminal trial, it's a civil trial, and or an investigation anyway. And we'll see. I don't know. I'd like to know what was in the mindset of the person that's doing the recording in the first place.
Oh,
And if four guys are in there talking smack, there had to have been a fifth person
Yeah,
sitting
there was
there.
a fifth
So
person.
they're all going to know who that fifth guy or girl
oh
was,
gosh,
right?
dude, it's never anonymous.
Yeah.
Ken and I were having this talk where, we know who the anonymous caller or the anonymous person is. You always know.
Yeah.
I was telling Ken, I was working a officer rep section as a defense rep, and there's these two officers. I'm not going to mention any divisions at all, North Hollywood, in LAPD, and they were having Starbucks cups of coffee, hanging out at the the exit apron of the drive-through Starbucks, and they're just sitting there lollygagging, drinking their coffee. And of course, the sergeant comes up, and he's a New Yorker type of attitude type of guy. And he's just going like, "Hey, what the hell are you guys doing? F off, get in your cars, get out of there. It's embarrassing," and just goes off on these two P2s. Next thing you know, the police officers go to the watch commander, the lieutenant, and they said, "Hey, we don't like the way the sergeant approached us. I think he was very rude, disrespectful, et cetera, et cetera." The lieutenant says, "You know what? I don't want to have nothing to do with this. You can go and talk to that sergeant yourselves." So now they huddle up. So you got the two officers and the sergeant, the New York, accent, the New York sergeant, and they're saying, "Sarge, you know what? That wasn't cool what you did. It's embarrassing, blah, blah, blah." And of course, the New Yorker sergeant says, "You know what? The hell with you guys. Don't do that shit. Knock it off. It looks very unprofessional. It's very inappropriate. Have a nice day." 2 weeks later, an anonymous letter gets sent to the division. Now, let's kind of figure out where that letter came from. Well, it's not the lieutenant who was the watch commander, because he didn't want to have, it's not the sergeant, the New Yorker, because he's being accused. It kind of leaves you with only two others, which is those two officers that got all butthurt for this. So my point is that when you want to identify yourself with anonymity, I guess that's how you say it, right? To remain anonymous, It's not always the case, man. And you know what? That is a Blue Falcon first degree of 2025 thus far. They take it, man.
In the first degree. So,
It's
hey,
first degree.
I want to mention something, and then I want to get to Helper's. I want you guys to answer Helper's question. Is that I'll take you back last year, or I don't remember, it was the year before, whatever. Somebody recorded Kevin De Leon and Neri Martinez in a secret recording, and then it got found out, went to the news, the tapes were revealed, and all this kind of stuff, right? Secret recording. LAPD went after the person who recorded them bad. They went after them hard. And here we have a secret recording. And Helper wants to know, after deliberation and adjudication, can the person who illegally recorded be civilly liable?
I would say, you know what? I'm not, a big time lawyer at all. Helper keeps thinking that I am. Of course, I'm just a test away from getting my license. But with that being said, yeah, I suppose that you can go to file a civil suit, cause of action, and one of those is this, whatever that administrative law code is for surreptitious recordings. I would say. Now, let's, I want to be, the other thing I want to say before we wrap all this up also is that I kind of want to be fair because, hey, I'm all about defending cops. However, I did work IA, right? So we also got to put the IA hat and see where the lens of the department lies in this particular incident. If it's for the best interest of the department, meaning if these are so derogatory, they're so egregious, then yeah, we're going to move forward. Because at the end of the day, this is a tribunal hearing. This is pretty much a disciplinary process by which the chief gets to kind of run the ship the way he or she sees fit. So whether this administrative code, I mean, we can argue legalities all we want. Hey, this violates 42.06A1 of the Los Angeles Administrative Codes for surreptitious recordings. You know what? That's great. It's mildly interesting, but you know what? I'm just going to keep moving forward because it's very unbecoming. It's very negative. It looks completely horrible in the eyes of all stakeholders, including the community. I don't know. That's just an argument. So I wanted to be fair, give you both sides of the table.
Yeah, the optics are horrible, right?
Yeah.
Regardless of the way you look at it. As far as a person being civilly liable, I guarantee you if somebody tried to sue them, they're going to say they're a whistleblower and you're going after them illegally.
Yes.
So,
yep.
I think just let's see how it sorts out.
Did the person the person who recorded De Leon and Martinez, were they a whistleblower? Why would the LAPD go out? They found out who this person was. I don't think they filed charges, but they certainly found out who they were.
Another interesting fact that's going to come out is, let's just say this ends up at a border rights hearing. You know what? I'm calling everybody in the unit. And, we're going to have, tough times, man. Someone's going to have to respond. At least I'm going to ask, hey, were you the one that actually recorded this?
Oh,
no.
Buddy.
How about you? Were you the one that actually recorded this? No. Okay.
Yeah.
They're going to know.
If I'm the accused, well, that's just it. If I'm the accused, I'm asking, who do you believe recorded you guys anonymously? That's one question that you have to ask. Objection calls for speculation. You know what? Overrule. We want to know. Because here's the deal, man. I think the Blue Falcon move on this particular incident far outweighs everything else that's going to happen. That's just me.
Why does this have to be such a big deal? And what possibly words could they have said that are worse than what I've seen on social media that was so egregious that they had to take their guns, their badges, strip them of their police powers and send them home for 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, whatever. And you can't leave your house until your shift is over, until we figure out all this stuff, and under the potential threat of being fired. What could they have possibly have said?
Yeah.
Politics.
Yeah.
It's all politics.
You know what? Just go through the process, man, and just like Mike said, keep your mouth shut. don't just don't go to the LA Times and especially the chief. No, the mayor wants to, fine, but not the chief, because you're the ultimate savior, bro. Someone in his chief of staff should have told him, Chief, with all due respect, it's probably not the best to make a soundbite for this particular incident. Why don't we just let it play out, because there's just a lot of details, a lot of legalities, surreptitious recordings. We don't even know if we can actually admit this into evidence as we move forward. We don't. So
we have a troll.
Resting back cops, your blue line.
I think Mr. Drifted Cowboy hasn't been paying attention to the news lately, as far as even good cops getting thrown under the bus for political expediency. But he's got an opinion. That's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, I just think that going back, how many years have we heard trash talk? I mean, they just they're talking about police recruits, police applicants, and things like that. You can go to a bunch of TV shows that were comedies in the 90s and the 2000s, and they still do it today, and they get away with all kinds of stuff. But if you're a cop and you're talking about stuff, it's the bad. I guess you're super bad. You're gonna
they don't even know. You're right about that. And we don't even know what this audio. It's audio, by the way. It's an audio recording. Wasn't so much text message, but it was an audio recording. So the Blue Falcon went out of the way to record it and submit it.
You know what would be interesting to find out is these recruits that were allegedly being talked about with these nasty names. Did they get hired? Right. That's kind of where I would look. Because that would, if none of them get hired and they've been talking shit about them like that, that's not gonna bode well for them. But if these people did get hired, it'd be just a little less egregious in my mind. But still, I mean, if 4 guys are there and somebody's sitting there, like, oh my God, what are they saying? And why would you put yourself in that position? It's a tough spot.
And here's another thing I just thought about too. The light bulb just hit. What if we're playing the game? This is something that I would do as an IO. Forget playing the what if. This is what I would do as an IO. If I'm able to identify in this audio recording who they specifically were talking about, if they were talking on one specific recruit or maybe 2, I'm going to go to the recruit and ask, hey, listen, I want you to listen and hear this particular audio from this particular accused employee. And I want you to tell me whether or not you think it's offensive. It's kind of like mitigating in a way, because you could present that when you turn it in for adjudication and say, look, they were talking about this particular recruit, but we asked this recruit and they said no. As a matter of fact, I hear this all the time. That could be the case. I don't know. My point is, again, this has so many doors to open to do a major analysis, right? A full body discussion that wasn't afforded before they made it public. That's just me. I might be wrong.
Well, and remember, how many videos have you seen on Twitter that show Donald Trump and Yasser Arafat singing songs? Who's to say it's not an AI recording, right? I mean, there's a lot of different roads this could go down.
Yes.
Ghost One is exactly right. They want cops to be robots and never have an opinion, but that's a different story. We've talked about that so many times in the past. They're expecting automatons to come out of human beings, and that just doesn't work that way.
No. Hey, Passe, I'm way ahead of you. Already done. I don't mind having conversations with people, but if you're just going to troll and bag on cops and ACAB, then you're
the guy, I mean, I don't mind a different opinion, but when the guy goes off the rails and starts talking about China, owns all the cops, it's like, Okay, hasta luego.
He said all LA cops are owned by China, and I'm kind of
Yeah.
going, I must have missed that memo because
I
Missed that special order, bro. You forgot about that one.
right.
is this true? When Ronald McDonald, so paranoid that when he was LASD, he would drive around, and if he saw LASD with their sleeves rolled up, he would call the station, and that deputy would get written up. Is that true?
You know what? It wouldn't surprise me because he, the guy, I don't want to go into him, but he's just like become a total politico these days. And, he was a fish out of water with LASD. I'm glad you guys have him back.
That's not right. But yeah, so I mean that's that story. We're going to find out how that ends up. But Marlon, would you join us for the next story?
Talk to me. What do you got?
We got. Let me see here. Let's see. 1, 2, and 3. Mike, what is this all about?
Well, I sent you another one just a little while ago about the last 10 minutes. That's a response to this. This is the sheriff, Robert Luna, basically trying to throw down some cover for himself regarding the Trevor Kirk case. He's claiming that nobody on the department had anything to do with it. It came from an outside source. The FBI called in their real mean voice and said, "We're taking this case." And he capitulated and just said, "Okay, fine, it's yours." What cracked me up about it is when I look at it, this was a non-cop that wrote this. You're talking to 18,000 Sheriff's Department employees, right? 8,000 cops, and you started out, "Dear colleagues." I mean, what are we, cohorts now?
Dear colleagues.
Colleagues. And what does he write at the end? "Thank you for your service." I mean, just the platitude coming out of that, and it was insincere, and to me, it's just a way of covering himself and trying to claim that he did not direct that the case be sent over to the Fed. If you've got that other one that you could put up, I don't know if you do. It's on your email.
Yeah, I got it. Just let me
Swing that puppy up, and it's
hang
that's
on.
not the guy. He's not talking about it.
That's
Yeah, hey, guy.
the IA guy. Hang on.
It's always the IA guy, man.
I'm pretty good on the fly, but there's only so much I can do so
Yeah.
fast.
Well,
Keep
anyway,
talking. Keep
remember
talking,
that.
Mike.
Remember that aspect of it, and it's full of BS and platitudes, and it's weak. And I guarantee you, he didn't write it himself. But
Let's see here.
do 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 do.
Just act like you know
do,
you have something to say, Mike.
do 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 do. Yep. Well, I we'll get into the thing about there's a lot of fallout behind this right now, and needless to say, go ahead.
I was going to say, sorry to interject. Why don't we get into, hopefully, maybe next week, into that new policy or policies that the sheriff wrote on behalf of, where did I see that? That talks
DO
about misconduct, it talks about tattoo, it talks about gangs,
Oh,
and
it's the DOJ letter that they're working on for a settlement agreement with the sheriff's department. I was planning on getting into that. Here, this is a response relative to what Luna said. Luna lied.
okay.
Then North Division Patrol Chief Dennis Kinnear requested ICIB to conduct a criminal investigation. The ICIB captain was ordered to give the USB drive to the FBI on 7/19. ICIB shipped the case to the FBI per Luna's directive. Now, that apparently and reportedly and allegedly comes from the actual federal case file. So, some preamble that the FBI wrote, I'm assuming. This comes out of the case itself, describing how the case actually got into the FBI's hands. This would be completely unprecedented. I have never, ever in my, almost 40 years doing cop stuff, seen the FBI call out of the blue on some case and say, this is really cool. We're taking this one. Never seen that, ever. And I guarantee you it didn't happen at this time either. I think Luna was taking heat from BLM and the Council of the Contract People up in Lancaster. He wanted to do something to save himself. He bent the knee, and he turned the case in to the feds without even doing a preliminary investigation. I know that this case wasn't going to go anywhere. The DA wasn't looking at it. You
Right.
know, there was no actual trouble until he started taking heat, and he wanted to get the heat off of himself. Yeah, but anyways, let's talk about some fallout. He had a he had a meeting up at Lancaster Station with no, not him. We'll want to back up a little bit. There was a meeting with ALADs up at Lancaster, and the Lancaster deputies did a pretty cool thing. I thought they invited every deputy in the county that could show up to come show up for this ALADs meeting. And my understanding is they got almost 200 people there. And you know, regardless what you think about ALADs and the unions and everything, the deputies weren't satisfied with the answers, so they decided between Palmdale and Lancaster that they were going to boycott Baker to Vegas. And they saw that as being a way to stick it to the sheriff. Some people didn't think it was going to go anywhere, but from what I understand right now, it's Lancaster, Palmdale, Santa Clarita, Crescenta Valley, Altadena, West Hollywood have already committed to boycotting. South LA, East LA, and some custody facilities are also considering dropping out. My advice would have been show up, do the run, and every time you see the sheriff or if he gets on stage, boo him. And do not agree to take any photos with him. You know, afterwards, he always likes to cozy up to the winners. Just say, hey, you're not invited to the photo shoot here, Sheriff. But they've chosen this route, and I guess we'll see how it works out. It's pretty dramatic, but I do understand their frustration because they've been putting up with over 3 years of this unending bullshit. And we've talked about it every week, right? We talk about the triple doubles. You get your days off canceled all the time. You can't sleep. You know, you're exhausted, and you have crappy radio cars. You have crappy radio equipment, which was proven by the fact the entire system went down a couple of times. And I understand it's on life support right now. It's just it's one bullshit thing after another, and they aren't feeling like they're getting responsive answers from their brass. They did not feel like they got responsive answers from their union, and now they've taken it upon themselves. And I'll tell you, you know what? Deputies haven't changed, just like LA cops haven't changed. You got something to say, you're going to say it. Doesn't matter who's standing there. And
Well,
I think that's where they're at right now. And I understand, one more thing, I
yes.
understand Luna's supposed to be going up to Lancaster tomorrow afternoon to have a meeting with the deputies, and I wish I was a fly on the wall.
Well, Helper is saying there, we'll say this and won't be popular, but deputies should reconsider boycotting Baker to Vegas, run your race and boycott the awards. And my question is, what does boycotting Baker to Vegas do? It's not Luna's baby, so they're not slapping him in the face. This is
Well,
something that's been going on for decades.
they will be slapping him in the face if you look at it. Let's say you've got, well, let's say you've got 300 people from the sheriff's department show up, probably 400 at least. And if they get enough people not to show up, people are going to start going, where's the sheriff's department? How come they're not here? And Luna's going to be standing up there like a lump of lug with a piece of chocolate cake under his arm. And he's going to be wondering. And
Chocolate cake.
I think what they're trying to do is I think they're going to try to embarrass him. And I personally like that more personal touch, like you say, show up, do the run. I wouldn't boycott the awards. I'd take my mug, right? I'd take that. But if Luna wants to get in a picture, say, sorry, Sheriff, this is a team only. What's he going to do to him? Right?
Yeah.
It's just like they did, I forget who it was several years ago. It might have been your guy, Bernie Parks, where the guys booed him every time he tried to get up on stage or anytime he showed up personally. So I think that's more effective if they're trying to make that point. But I'm not going to step in the way of anything the deputies do, what the unions do. That's their thing. I'm just going to sit back with my bag of popcorn and wait and see what the results are.
Yeah, good. I would say that, Helper, great advice. That is a good angle, just like you, Mike, about attending B2V, and here comes the award section, you know, when that happens. And no, sorry, we're not taking pictures, and, you know, you're not invited. However, what I would say is, this is just me, but I think it makes a greater impact if LASD doesn't just show up at all.
Yeah, I agree. There are going to be some people. The
Yeah, I
LASD,
mean,
the women's
right.
team's always going to show, right?
Yeah,
SCB
yeah.
will
I mean,
show.
either way, the LASD is heading in the right direction in terms of making an impact, making their voice be heard.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah, booing is
oh,
very effective. But how about just not showing up at all? I mean,
well,
and
Trace,
B2B,
you know what?
how many stations show up to B2B? Just
Yeah,
out of curiosity.
every
Ballpark.
one of them, every one of them. And SCB is probably going to run a gold team and a blue team. I mean, they're going to run a lot of people, and that's another point that Tracy made, which is a valid one. We are already almost 2,000 deputies short. People can't get days off. They're getting, yeah, there you go. They're so short staffed now that they're dropping like flies. Why should we allow 400 people to go to run a
Yeah.
race?
Well,
It's kind of nonsensical, but I do understand the unit pride and people. There's going to be some units that show up because they live for that, and I understand that. But I think the depths are going to do what the depths are going to do, and it seems to be, it's not just a disgruntled North County thing, right? It's not just Palmdale and Lancaster. You've got stations and units all over the department starting to fall into line.
A few years ago, um, NYPD at a funeral there were two officers that were killed, and I think it might have happened more than once. But at the funeral, they when the mayor came out of the
Mhm.
church, the officers turned their backs on the
Yep.
mayor.
Yep.
And I'm wondering if those types of things translate to LASD, because I'm hearing that the politics at LASD can get you freeway therapy tomorrow. Is that true?
Today. Oh yeah. If you serve at the pleasure of the sheriff, and when you sign up for the job, you check off a box that says I will work anywhere in LA County. So if you live in South Bay and you work in Cerritos and you piss somebody off, tomorrow you're going to wake up in Palmdale, right? That is not unheard of. It happens more than you'd like to think.
So is that going to affect anything that the deputies, any kind of actions that the deputies might want to do?
You know what? I think from the vibe that I'm getting from the people I talk to, I think they're done. I think they are sick and tired of not being listened to, not being appreciated, of just being defamed and demoralized. And I think they're done. I really do. And I think the Trevor Kirk case is way beyond just Trevor Kirk these days. I think he is a symbol of what's been happening to the sheriff's department. And I'll be curious to see what the sheriff can or can't do tomorrow when he goes up there. He better be loaded for bear though, because I know those deputies up there. They're going to give him what for, and they should. They've been just ignored long enough, and I think they're sick and tired of it. They've done that line in the sand, and they're not going any further.
Yeah. Well, that is that.
That is that. And let's just bootstrap something else onto this, and that's the anti-cop wet dream that the DOJ sent over to the sheriff's department. That 100-page letter of
Oh,
of how not to run a sheriff's department, of how to destroy law enforcement in LA County. Um, I was reading the thing over, and I kept, it made me throw up in my mouth a little bit, and I had to stop every couple of pages because it was just making me sick. But
do you have
I'll
a do
just go ahead.
you have a copy of it? I can grab it and throw it up.
Oh, dude, it's 100 pages.
I'll just
It
tell us
would have
what it
been,
is.
it would have been okay. Let's see, confidential settlement communication, and this is from the state DOJ to the sheriff's department's lawyers, and basically it's like, hey, thanks for the productive meeting. Now here's a 100-page document that we're going to shove down every deputy's throat over the next coming couple of years. There, if you can see it, there it is. Anyways, like
Mike,
Marlon.
talk to me about the IA portion of that, because I know there's an IA component. There's a misconduct component.
Well, I okay. The only part I got out of the IA component was that they are proposing that they restructure professional standards division
Okay.
take IAB out of it and give it to the Office of Constitutional Policing, which oh man, what they're doing is they're saying that the Office of Constitutional Policing will have sole authority over where every administrative investigation goes, whether it goes IA or ICIB, basically taking all brass, all your executive out of it, and only this one person who happens to be a female there right now, who I doesn't like the police, from what I have gathered from what she does. She's going to be basically in charge of where cases go and how they get filed. And the brass, your chain of command, has nothing to do with it. They're not involved at all.
Is this particular entity, being a she, is she the adjudicator or just the one that's going to delegate the complaint?
She's the one. She's the one that will oversee not only the intake, but where it goes and the
Uh-huh.
review of it to make sure it's to her liking before it goes through the chain of command. This is someone who never been a cop, doesn't understand, and it's not going to be good. But I did want to touch on something you talked about earlier, and that's the station tattoo issue. The sheriff made a big deal about the fact that his undersheriff has a tattoo, but he's described it as a station tattoo and not the dreaded gang tattoo. And that's how they kept her in her position. If she's there, hi, I don't have any problem with you. I know who you are. But um, but what they're doing in this document, they're merging them together. And they're, instead of saying if you have a gang tattoo, they say station or gang tattoo, right? So if it's not identified as any one of these alleged gangs, let's just take Banditos. I'm not calling them a gang, but that's one that everybody bandies around. If you have a Bandito tattoo, you're automatically considered to be a gang member if you have a matching tattoo with somebody else. So if you and I, Ken, if we were at a station and we got Gumby on our ankle and there's more than one, it's a matching tattoo, we are gangsta. We are the Gumbies, right?
Gangsta.
We're the Gumby gang. They're also saying that, let's say you got a tattoo back in the 80s at a patrol station somewhere, and you've moved on in your career, you're promoted sergeant, lieutenant, captain, commander. You're subject to being discharged. You're subject to having your promotions reviewed to see if you really are capable of serving in a higher authority position, because it's their belief that anybody that got one of these station tattoos is ineligible for promotion, for working good assignments, for basically doing anything on the job except maybe pushing paper somewhere. It's just, yeah, I'm gonna go over a couple of these unless you guys have questions. Let's see. Oh yeah, they want to go back retroactively and start screwing with you, even if you got your tattoo in 1980, because that just, there's this old theory. It's called fence mow. It's like if you have a case, right, something that you can do, you put a fence on one side, a fence on the other, and you mow in between the fences. That's fence mow. Well, they're not doing that. They're going to mow the entire field down, going back in infinity, right? Maybe we have somebody on the department who's been on 50 years who has a tattoo. Well, we need to check into him because he might be a bad guy, right? It's just stupid. It's stupid. And the one of my like is, let's say you're driving in a radio car with your partner. Ken, you're driving. I'm in the passenger seat. We're talking shit. A car pulls up next to us.
Are you recording that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Gosh.
Somebody
All
in
I'll
the
turn
next.
it in.
Yeah, okay.
Here comes the Blue Falcon.
Somebody in the next car over opens up with an AK and starts shooting at us as we're driving down Alondra Boulevard, right? We are prohibited from shooting back because we cannot fire a firearm from a moving vehicle and we cannot shoot at a moving vehicle. So
Right.
we can't shoot from the car and we can't shoot at them. And it's like, I guess what you got to do is just take your lumps and just drive yourself to MLK or something and
Yeah,
hope you survive.
but if I may interject, is that generally prohibited? Is that what it says?
No, it says it is prohibited, not generally. It's prohibited, period. Not generally. In fact, here's another one about canines. They want to do away with canine searches altogether and have the only thing canines can do is search for weapons or contraband. They can't search for people. But in the meantime, before they go to that, they want to do away with all the bite dogs. And the dog can only do a find and sit and play checkers with the suspect until the cops show up. So what's going to happen is if you've got an armed and dangerous asshole who you've been chasing and shooting at, and the dog finds him in a pile of old tires, the dog's just going to supposed to sit down and say, "Hey, how about we get some Jack and have a party here?" What's the guy going to do? You're going to have a dead canine, right? That's kind of what it's going toward. They don't want any canine bites. They don't want any canines following or chasing suspects. And if you're out there in the field, you're supposed to give the canine warning in the language of the person that's being chased. So if you've got somebody who speaks Tongolese, I guess you're probably going to have to hold
Get
on
an
for a little
interpreter.
bit.
And
Get an
Dave's
interpreter to
comment,
come out.
Dave's comment is true as well. Remember, this came out of the state though. So some legislature claimed that the police canines were racist. They want to do away with canines in police work. Oh man, that was a good one.
Yeah. Okay. And let's see if you have like something you're trying to search and it's exigent circumstances, you need to go in like right now. You have to stop and find a lieutenant and have them approve you doing that.
Jeez.
So by the time that happens, the shit's flushed down the toilet. Adios, bub. It prohibits the arrest for misdemeanor possession of narcotics. It prohibits using your taser. This is a funny one. You can't use a taser on pregnant females or people with developmental disabilities. How would you know that?
They hand you a certificate.
Freeze! Are you have a disability? Well, nope, not me. You know,
Yeah, they got to prove it though. They got to hand you something that identifies themselves.
Well, I suppose.
And then you tase them if they don't.
Yeah, and then the other one that we've talked about before is if you do a traffic stop and you pull your gun out of your holster, which I used to do a lot, if that barrel of that gun points or aims near anybody, it comes in somebody's purview, it's reportable force. So, like me, I would have had probably 500 reportable force incidents a year, and when they looked at my employee, background, they're gonna say, "You've got a lot of force here," and it's like. It's just ridiculous stuff.
I want to show Dave Armstrong's comments, but I want to make fun of it first, and then we'll get to the seriousness of it. Don't forget upholstering your gun is now a use of force and requires a report. I know he's saying unholstering, but I couldn't help myself. And so one of you guys was talking to me about this. Just the mere fact that you unholstered your gun is now you got to report it.
Well, it's got the barrel actually has to. And here's the other thing. Let's say I pull my gun out. It's a high risk traffic stop. I pull it out. It's okay really quick. I drop right down, put it in my holster. And what if we just let those people go because they weren't whoever we wanted? It's a reportable use of force. And that's another, there's 4 people in the car. I suppose that's 4 ticks. That's 4 uses of force that you were involved in without being involved in force. It's just going to make cops afraid to do their job. It's going to make them afraid to act or react. We're all going to just be handed bags of lollipops and go pass them out to people and try to stay out of trouble.
Dave wants me to let everybody know it's a typo. I know, David, it was a typo.
I don't know. A nice mahogany handle, maybe some tuck and roll.
I was having fun. It's no offense, but
we understood.
Marlon, we could not do police work today. There's too many rules, too many money running quarterback.
Yeah, that report that Captain Mike had, I didn't get a chance to read it, but as I started skimming through it, it just made me feel like, oh my gosh. I mean, AB 392 and the revamp of 835 APC is long enough as it is. And unfortunately, we don't spend enough time talking about it or discussing it or really getting to know, what our use of force policy as it relates to 835 APC really is. The days of, overcoming resistance, effecting an arrest, preventing an escape. That's what we were taught. Those days are gone. And And then came defensive property, defense of others. It's not enough, man. There's way more
Yeah.
than you can imagine. I mean, Hayes v. San Diego, totality of circumstances is codified into 835 APC, and so is Grant v. Connor, objective or reasonable standards. That's codified into 835 APC. And then, you got to go through analysis of imminent when it comes to use of deadly force. And there's just so much to know. Now, I am a big fan of learning and playing by the rules, because you can still do your job as a police officer and get involved in a situation that's going to escalate to deadly force and still justify your actions, But what I just saw, the fact that it's prohibited to shoot at moving vehicles or from moving vehicles, I don't know, man. We're making the rules much harder than it is, and it just sucks, man. Today's cop, I applaud you for wanting to do this job, but for the most part, the rules are favorable on your part. It just depends.
You know what? Here's what I would do. Let's talk about all this gang stuff. Participation or association with a law enforcement gang as identified by 136.70 is strictly prohibited. Any members of the department who violate this policy are subject to discipline up to and including discharge. Period. Right? Oh, but man, let's just get that gnat's ass out and let's have this 8, 10, 15-page this dissertation on these alleged deputy gangs. It's just, I am so sick and tired of it. Yeah, there were people that did stupid shit that had tattoos on them, matching tattoos, and I can find 5 people for every one of those incidents that didn't have tattoos that did stupid shit.
Yeah.
And they're just. I know that there are some people in the media, and you know who you are, who are tied to this deputy gang issue because that's how they get clicks, right? That's how
Yeah.
they get the clicks. That's
It's
how they get noticed. And oh my God, I'm so important. Let's go chase down the Lancaster rattlesnakes. Hee-haw! It's mindless, and the buffoonery that goes on in the press with this crap. I mean,
something.
it's just.
Yeah, you
Go
know
ahead.
what, Captain Mike, something must have occurred in the last year to sensationalize this gang association, uh, issue. And the reason why I say that is because SB2 was, created 2020. Well, it's been 2 years, right? SB2 came into effect in 2023, so it's been about 2 years, and one of the nine deadly sins is gang associations, defined as serious misconduct. But and here's the deal: when I teach for Savage Training Group, and we actually have a teach back where we grab the groups and I say, okay, group 1, you're going to do 1 through 3, the definition of misconduct. Group 2, 4 through 7, 4 through 6. Group 3, 7 through 9, and then you're going to do the notification, and then you're going to do the board members, the advisory board. And whenever that group comes up front and center and starts discussing the gang association, I always ask, hey, what's the first thing that came into mind when you saw this particular sin, the 9 deadly sins? And some people go, oh, well, Rampart. I'm thinking, no, it can't be Rampart. And of course, the majority of people think of LASD gangs. And during SB2, if you look at that definition, it doesn't quite, what's the word I'm looking for? It's very ambiguous. There's nothing
Vague.
really to, it's vague, it's broad, right? And it's right. Meaning, what cases do we have to examine to determine whether or not there is this gang, what defines a gang association? And to this very day, I still don't know. It's no any different than TikTok cops. I don't mean to deviate. I'm just using it as an example. You got TikTok cops that are in uniform on social media. However, a lot of agencies don't have a really true, accurate policy as it relates to social media platforms. Meaning, if I have a cop in uniform in their own private account doing, I don't know, whatever, dancing, going to the SROs in the school and dancing with the kids. And the principal calls and says to the chief, hey man, that officer that came in did a great job. Keep it up. It's good for the kids. Thank you for having that cop show up and doing that. Or when you have a department sanctioned official social media account in uniform, they do all these community stuff. Same thing. City councilor or someone calls the chief and says, hey, thanks for those cops showing up. So it's really hard to differentiate and or deem it whether it's appropriate or inappropriate, right? And so going back to the 9 deadly sins under SB2, the gang associations, I don't know how can we define to determine whether or not there's an association, and what does that actually mean?
Well, it's going to mean whatever the department wants it to mean, frankly. 13670 talks about on-duty behavior, right? Well, what this document attempts to do is bootstrap off-duty behavior with it too. So, if you're off duty and you get drunk and do something stupid, which I know some guys have done, oh well, you know what? If they're from a station, they got tattoos. That is gang activity. That's fireable. It's just I can't imagine what law enforcement is going to look like, especially in California over the next 5 years. It's just gone down the slippery slope. It's circling the drain. I think that there are some good kids out there. And again, I can call them kids because I'm a lot older than they are.
You're
They're doing
really
the
old.
Lord's work.
So
They're trying to do the
old.
right thing. Hey, I joined in
Yes.
1982, Ken, all right?
Oh,
1980, same as you did, pal.
thank you.
So yeah, we're both old as dirt. But, with our age comes some alleged wisdom and, experience.
Yes.
And I've never seen anything this bad in the sheriff's department, ever.
Yes.
And it's just every day it just slips a little bit. Now they're jiggling the handle because that toilet water is just starting to go down quicker and quicker. And I wrote that article about the tipping point. We're past that.
Well,
Go ahead.
I just wanted to. I'm ready to flip the conversation. Do you have something else you want to say?
Who, me?
Yeah, you, Mike.
Or the guy behind me? No, you know what? I think that that just about did. I do want to say that Pat Jordan was on there, Chief Pat. He was right. What they're trying to do is they're just trying to destroy law enforcement in general, especially in California. All you can do is fight against it, man. They're shoveling shit against the tide right now, though.
What are you eating, Marlon? I want some. Oh, you don't share. You didn't bring enough for everybody.
Yeah.
Doggone. So,
Ben, can you pull up that comment by Kevin Kazan?
there you go, Marlon.
Oh, let me chime in on this one.
What's up?
You know what? He's right. So check this out. I got a phone call from an officer in Georgia, the state of Georgia, who was involved in an OIS, and he was basically he was filed criminally, and one of the charges, well, he had 2 charges. One of them was what was the actual title of the reckless use of a firearm.
This is
right?
the cop.
So this is the cop, right? So something along the lines that it was reckless use of a firearm during the commission of an OIS, whatever, right? They use the word reckless, and it's a federal charge. And so he was brought up on 2 charges. That's one of them. So he was found not guilty on the other charge, but he was found guilty on this one. And now they're appealing it. But the judge, in his opinion, states that and this goes to your point, Kevin. So listen up. I'm sure you already know this, but the judge opined that you can go in the academy and be taught all the right policies, the right tactics, everything that relates to the use of a firearm. But you can still be reckless in a commission of an incident. That's fucking wow. That's like setting precedent. So what you're really saying is that anybody who, I mean, if for whatever reason this keeps going through and he doesn't win his appeal, I would imagine the state of Georgia, why would you want to be a cop? You mean to tell me that I can go to the academy, I can be taught all the basic firearm safety rules, I can be taught the use of deadly force, all the tactics that led up to me engaging in deadly force. And you're saying that there's a possibility that I can be charged with reckless handling of a firearm. That's what it was. Reckless handling of a firearm.
Hmm.
Wow. That's what the judge said. You know what? You can be completely in policy, but you can still be held liable criminally for recklessly handling your firearm. Wow. Just
Well, that's in
amazing.
Georgia. That's in Georgia. But after
Yes.
Trevor Kirk's conviction, who would want to be a police officer in the United States?
Well,
I mean,
yeah, you can get convicted of deprivation of civil rights under color of law. It's like what?
Yeah.
Just all he did was just force her down onto the ground, and she struggled. He pepper sprayed her and handcuffed her, and that was it. And he's going to the federal pen for up to 10
Yes.
frickin'
I
years.
saw that. I saw that.
Well,
Yeah, that
I
says
just-
presidents too. That's just beyond me.
yeah,
Well-
and I think they said the pepper spray was what use of deadly force. I think the pepper spray was.
something like
I
that.
mean, well, I've been sprayed by the department, right? So we should all go and make a claim.
Let's pivot on this next comment. Bianco for governor. He can save law enforcement. What do you guys think? Chad Bianco, governor?
Yeah. You know what I saw in the paper today though was he's a Trump supporter, right? So that's obviously going to be one of
it's
those
a
dog
big
whistle
deal.
things, yeah.
Big deal.
But it also said with Harris polling over 50%, he's going to have an uphill battle. Kamala Harris hasn't announced, and she is polling over 50% right now in California.
That's a sympathy vote.
No, that's a simple-minded vote.
A simple-minded sympathy vote because
it's just
she didn't get to be president because of misogyny and racism. So now we're going to fix that,
Right,
California.
Right. Yeah.
But Chad Bianco is pretty popular, and he's the sheriff because I voted for him before I left
I'm
California.
digging it.
You voted for him?
digging it. I'm hopefully in the process to try to get him on. I got two sources out there that are trying to reel him in to come into the IA Guy Police podcast. So once he's done with me, dude, I'm sending him your way, Ken and Captain Mike.
Let's
That'd be
do
great.
it. Let's
Yep.
have him on the on this show. You guys would come over to watch us if Chad Bianco was on here, would you not? So, yeah,
I'm working on that. I got some good. I got a good connection who was one of my guests on the podcast.
Cool.
Got very, very close with him, and I'm hoping we can make it happen. Love to have him on and ask him a whole bunch of IA questions.
Right. Hey, Grant, you got to be kidding. There is no such thing as fake polling in California. Get off your high horse.
Then Burton wants to know, who are they polling? This was Marlon and Mike. This cannot escape this. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Yeah, somebody mentioned earlier about that. Another person replied, "If that's all you got to bitch about, then he's probably doing pretty good."
You like him?
I don't know. I don't know the guy that well. I've never had a negative thought about him except for taking the knee. But if that's all it is, and if it's between him and Kamala Harris, right? No contest.
Yeah, I think that was. I don't know. I think
It's
that's in
smart.
the past.
Yeah, it's smart of him to announce now. I mean, he doesn't have to do it right away, but he did. And he's probably trying to clear the field to keep other people from jumping in that may have otherwise if he's going to be a pretty strong contender. Maybe he's just trying to clear the field.
Yeah. You know what? When everybody, I get it. He took a knee during the BLM and all that. Why are we like our worst enemies? We always like think of something that they did real bad, which is a con compared to the pros. We do that all the time. It's kind of like, you're in a relationship with your girlfriend, you do all these good things for a whole year, but at that one bad thing you do, you know what? You're done. I'm out.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? We complain about cancel culture from the left, and we end up doing it ourselves. I agree with you on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you talking about GJ's comment? And he's
what did GJ do?
GJ's
Yeah,
the
he
one
took a
that
knee
said
in the BLM. Okay, you know what?
Oh yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
there it is. Yeah, he took a knee
But
at
the
the
thing,
BLM event.
the Democrats aren't going to say, they're not going to say, well, he took a knee for BLM. Democrats aren't going to say that. Who's going to say that? The Republicans. Because don't worry about it.
We'll see, man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was. Thank you guys. But what do you guys got? You got anything else? Because
Okay, one more thing. One more thing out of this 100-page document that it made me laugh. Let's say you've got somebody, you're in a vehicle chase, and you're chasing him, he's shooting at you, and you can't shoot back, so you're just following him. He jumps out of the car and runs into the woods. You follow him into the woods. You're rolling around and falling, going through all these buildings and everything. You finally catch him, right? Policy requires that you go get your car and you pick him up and don't make him walk. Yep. Yep. You don't want him to be under arrest and tired at the same time. So you have to go take the car over and pick him up and give him a limo service to the station.
there you go.
Don't take my word for it. Look it up.
There's somebody who is it? Grant wants to know if we got receipts on Bianco taking a knee. There's
Video,
videos of that, and let me just go ahead and help out with that for 1 second. Give me 2 seconds. Mike, keep talking. I'm going to pull this up.
Okay. Hey everybody. I want everybody to stay strong out there and don't give up. Don't let the chumps beat you.
Don't let the chumps beat you.
Don't.
There you
yeah.
go.
Don't let the man get you down.
There you go, Grant. So, hey,
I tell you what, man, I gotta say that I hope and pray that I never take a knee. I will never bend the knee for anybody. Law enforcement is supposed to enforce the law. You don't take knees. Sorry.
There you go. And Marlon, what do you think about this? Helper says, get the Riverside Sheriff on these podcasts. Sean, Ryan, and Joe Rogan.
That's my classmate. Forget those podcasts, bro. You got to come on the IA Got the Police podcast, bro. That's all you need.
Why you do that to him, Helper?
Man, exactly. Ow, boom. Okay, I get it. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay. I understand. It's okay. I get it.
Jealous.
Little soft
blow. Of
course, he didn't think about it, but no, he can go on those after mine. How about that?
Helper loves you, man. We all know that. You guys are buds.
Oh no, that's my dude, man. That is my guy. I love Helper.
What class was that?
And look, joking set aside, 100%. I would imagine he's gonna, hit one of those big old platforms. Joe Rogan, that's hell, man. That's my, that would be my my dream.
Already Fox News reported it.
Yeah, Fox will pick him up.
It wasn't Fox 11. It was Fox News, the big Fox News. So it's
No,
nationwide.
he went to FNC. Yeah, no, he's on it. But yeah, I think if he goes on those two particular platforms, yeah, he's going to gain a lot of traction. But hey, man, you know what? Maybe I'm a little biased, but anybody who's law enforcement, I'm all in. And I say that from a lens of public safety. If we're here right now discussing all these issues that causes us to lead the department, or even people who are, our colleagues, right? Our fellow officers, the young boys, the kids suffering through all that's going on because of shortage, lack of training, lack of equipment, and the fact that, we have, what was the last, I totally forgot it. Was it like 11 out of the 20 million illegal immigrants, 11 million are violent criminals. Out of the 11 million, would imagine, even if you take a small percentage, they're probably here in the state of California. So public safety is number one. It should always be number one. And if we're going to have a sheriff run for governor, my thinking is that's going to be the main agenda, is public safety. And we all deserve that.
Yeah, and everybody loves Chad Bianco. I mean, the Democrats will be afraid of him because he's law and order. Republicans love him. And if you guys were a little more in on this, but during the last election, it looks like the Republicans in California started taking a lot of the counties. And so if you can move that momentum into a couple of years.
Non-Republicans also help take those counties.
That's right.
Right, yeah.
That's right.
So you just
So,
got to keep it up.
Marlon,
I won't eat. I'm not going to eat anymore. That's it. I'm going to go on a diet. Was that Posse?
oh, let me see, passe. What
What
does
is that?
Passe.
passe say?
Okay, so it's a little distracting and probably a little rude and distracting. I'm sorry, bro. But I was
I
a
don't.
little.
Passe. He's hungry, man, and you can,
Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, bro.
here,
I won't do it.
Grant's got another comment here. So we got Rick Caruso for governor. I don't know if his LA clout that he.
But I don't know, man. Moguls, developers, real estate developers are good dudes. But hey, man, again, I'm biased. I'm all about public safety. That's
It
just
would
me.
be nice if Rick went in and backed Bianco actually, because
Yeah.
he's got the money to really make a difference.
Hey,
Because
why don't we
that's
go back to the Daryl Gate days? I'm sure you're very familiar with this, Ken. Is Operation Hammer, bro?
Oh, love that
Let's do
so
it.
much.
We are going to go kick ass in crime before crime even occurs.
I'm
Let's
down with
go.
that.
Let's do it. Let's bring back their battering ram too.
Proactive
That's
policing. Wasn't that when they arrested Football for beating up Reginald Denny?
Yeah, they
That
did.
Operation Hammer? Yeah.
Yeah,
Was
they
that the
did.
quote? We attack crime. We
I don't
attack crime
remember.
before crime even occurs.
I don't remember that one.
Ken's just talking smack.
I like that.
we
We
attack crime before there
hanging out
is
the
any.
window. Come on, let's
We
go.
predict crime. So, I mean, yeah, if we go back to those days, but I don't know, people aren't tired of crime enough just yet.
Yeah, exactly.
You
And
know.
nothing against Rick Caruso, but my thing is public safety is number one, dude. We don't want another. Oh gosh, what's her name? That happened. I totally went blank. Where the illegal immigrant committed that rape and murder.
Oh, there's a
Lake,
couple
Lake
of
and
them. There was
Riley.
Lake and
Oh,
Riley.
right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for saving me, Captain Mike. We don't want a Lincoln Riley happening here in the state of California. And you know what?
No.
It's probably happening, or it's likely to occur here, and not just the state of California. Look what's happening in Colorado, dude, with Tren de Aragua.
Oh
It
yeah.
just pisses me. I don't get it. Listen, I was born and raised in Peru, and I came here to the United States, dude, and it was the land. I mean, the most beautiful country, law and order, the whole nine. And I got to tell you, man, to see that video surveillance over there in where was it, in Colorado, in Aurora, Colorado, see them, walking up the stairs of that apartment complex with AK-47s, AR-15s, and bashing the lock of the front door and saying, "Hey, we're the landlords now. From now on, you pay us." That just blew me away.
Yeah, that's like what?
And I've been here for over 40 years, and that did it for me. Luckily, we have LAPD, baby. Todd Chamberlain. Todd Chamberlain went there, and look what's happening.
Well, I got some things to say about illegal immigrants, but I know this is being recorded. I don't want someone sending it to IA. So I'm not going to
Hey,
say
I'll say this. Did you see the article in the paper about the LAPD, LASD, DACA deputies and officers?
I saw something. What did I? Whoa.
They're concerned that the ICE people are going to come in and just scoop them up and take them and throw them across the
Oh
border.
yeah.
You know what? If I was in charge, they would be at the bottom of my list for throwing out. But Megyn Kelly on her show recently, she had a guest on. The guy is going, "What are they supposed to do? Throw 20 million people out of the country?" And she goes, "Yeah." She goes, throwing out the ones that are criminals that have criminal backgrounds here. The country's like 90% in favor of doing that.
Yeah.
And for throwing everybody out, all 20 million, 60%. 60% favorite.
But Mike and Marlon and everybody listening, LA Times couldn't help themselves last week. They had an article that said LAPD has DACA, LAPD and LC has DACA officers.
Yeah.
Could the feds come in? Could ICE come in to the stations, to the police stations, and take these guys into custody to deport them? For one thing, DACA is still in court. They're in limbo, so they're not like on the thing. And plus, if that's on the top of LA Times radar, that they think that ICE, their big thing is, hey, we know exactly where these DACA. They're DACA. They're not kicking any
Yeah.
DACA out. Why would
They
LA
wish-
Times?
Yeah, they're trying to get that emotional thing going. I told you before, Ken, that
they're just so biased, dude.
I've
You know,
had
you know this. The time and effort. I mean, come on, dude. To conduct all these operations, to serve search warrants, and to do multi-agency. I mean, dude, we're going to be several years in, even after this administration, still trying to get rid of and arrest our way out of violent criminals, rape, murder, robberies. You know,
well, I've had
mayhem.
I've had a lot of experiences with the DACA kids. We talked about that too. When I would go down, I'd do background investigations on people at these federal facilities. A lot of them were DACA kids. They were some of the most God-fearing, pro-American, flag-waving kids I've ever seen. You know, it's and to get a job, you got to keep your nose clean, right? I think have to get recertified every 2 years with their work visas. So to me, the villain in all that is the federal government for just not making a decision on what to do with them.
Yeah, well, it's not the federal government; it's the courts. It's still tied up in courts, and the courts can't figure out what they're going to do.
Well, I remember Trump tried to kill it last term, and a court said no, you can't do that. But when I talk about federal government, I'm also talking about federal judges. So.
Now you're talking about federal judges, Mike.
Yeah, they're all in that mix. You know, if they can't make a decision, get off the bench and find somebody who can.
Get off the bench. I like that. I'm going to start using that. Get off the bench, or wait.
Yeah.
Get off the bench or shut up. I can't remember what
they've got bench burns because they're just sitting there not doing anything. hey, we're on an hour and a half, brother.
Let's do it. Hey,
you okay? Is everybody still there?
Stop eating, dude. I'm not eating because Patsy told me I can't eat. So I'm
done. Don't be that way. Just do what you want, man. So Marlon,
I lost my appetite, bro. That's it.
Marlon, how can they find you on the Instagram, and where are you, man? And you're training for Savage Group too.
Yeah, IA Guy podcast on Instagram and Savage Training Group. Just go to Savage Training Group. As a matter of fact, thank you for bringing that up. Let's see. I'm taking off to Henderson. I'm going to Hendo. Tomorrow, I got an OIS course for Henderson PD on Thursday and Friday. And then we're going to be, speaking of Colorado, next month, God knows how this happened, but they funded I want to say it was a private training in a city by the name of Rifle. Never heard of it in Colorado. So apparently I got to go to Denver, land, jump on a rental, and go 3 hours plus to a small city. I'm scared. I'm hoping I don't get raped. I'm hoping I don't get lynched. I really am. And it's going to be like all these high-tech SWATologists, task force dudes that we're doing a 2-day OIS. And we got some classes, man. We got that 3-day post-certified course for the IA basic, I should say IA course. And then we have the 2-day OIS course. You can look it up on www.savagetraininggroup.com, man. Thanks for that plug. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. So Helper says
POTUS. And next, POTUS already commented he wouldn't touch.
That's dark.
Yeah.
Can you let them LA Times know they didn't get the memo, Helper? Apparently. But at any rate, you guys have been awesome.
You guys are next.
Everybody.
Ken, Mike, I'm in the studios. We can talk this off, but your viewers know. On Mondays, I'm at the studio, and you guys are next.
Let's do it
for some fun conversations, and of course, each of you are going to give me an IA story. So,
IA story. That'll take Mike at least 3-4 hours.
Yeah, too painful. I can't do it.
Too painful. But all right, you guys. Thank you
so much. I know you were an IA investigator, but let me ask you this: have you been IA in your career?
Have you?
Multiple times.
Okay, good. So then we'll go from there, man.
No, we won't. All right.
All right, guys, we
Yeah.
appreciate you, and we'll see you either next week or we won't. That's the way it goes. All right, thanks a lot, guys.
Peace.